The arena is always the ultimate challenge at the end of a Kirby game, so I thought it would be a good idea to try to make guides on how to beat them. Today we're doing the bosses mode of Kirby's Dreamland 2. Just like Kirby's Adventure, this is a mode optional to the 100% score, where you have to defeat every boss in the game with only 6 health points, with no way to heal, and no access to copy abilities except from the boss fights themselves. Although, in this game, it actually heals you right before the final fight with Dark Matter, which was probably something they forgot to code out in this mode. Regardless, let's begin. Wispy Woods. Usually it's proficient to stand right in front of Wispy Woods, while in this fight the best strategy is to stand quite a ways farther from him, around this position, so you can avoid his tendril attack on the ground. But you don't want to stand all the way to the left because you'll get hit by his puffs of air. So just stand in the aforementioned spot, time your jumps right with the thorns, and spit the apples back at him. Nelly. No idea if I'm pronouncing his name correctly, but this fight is in a very similar vein to Lololo and La in Dreamland 1, which is referenced again in later games, like with Pon and Con in Dreamland 3, so that's cool. I should have mentioned that in my review. But anyway, stay in the middle of the arena. Being too close to any of the doors will get you hit by a Nelly or a bomb. Two things to be careful about is sometimes Neruf will throw a bomb on each floor, but he always throws them into the same spots. It's fairly easy to dodge, but the best way to dodge it is when he's on the left side. The middle bomb goes the furthest, so it's best to be on the top right or bottom right corner. When he throws the bomb from the right side, it forms a staircase layout with the top left being the furthest. Not a big deal, just be careful. The second thing to be careful of is that sometimes Neruf will stop for a moment and jump up or down a floor. Another thing to keep in mind. Now, in how do you attack him, you spit out the Nellies at him, and in fact Neruf usually has one Nelly behind him. Although, there's an interesting quirk where if Neruf stops moving, the Nelly literally goes inside him. Fortunately, you can still inhale him, but still. Now here's the pro strategy. You can jump through the floors and inhale several Nellies at once, which does more damage. You also could drop through the floor and do the same thing. Sweet Stuff. I talked about this in my review, but this boss is unique in this mode in that the only way you attack Sweet Stuff is by blowing bubbles. The strategy you need to get good at is when he summons his starfish, you blow bubbles onto them when Sweet Stuff is in front of the starfish, letting you hit him. Tricky to pull off. There's also the pro strat of blowing bubbles onto Sweet Stuff directly, which does minimal damage. I believe you have to blow bubbles on him 3 times to knock down 1 bar of health. That, with the fact that it's risky, makes it something you shouldn't try unless you're seasoned with the boss fight. When he starts shooting these triangles, just go to the bottom of the screen and you'll be fine. Then, keep an eye on Sweet Stuff the entire fight. When he starts biting several times, he's about to charge at you, so get ready. And he can do it 2 times in a row, so stay focused. When he bites once, he's summoning an enemy. When he summons 2 squishies, just swim between them in the middle. The biggest concern in this fight is when he shoots his triangles consistently through the entire arena. You can avoid this by being at the bottom of the screen. However, there's luck involved. The terrain goes up and down and the screen is auto-scrolling, so if you're there when the ground is an uphill, you're going to get hit. What you should do when that happens is to swim forward until you are at the point where the terrain goes down, so you'll be safe. Ice Dragon. You need to get as far as you can from the Ice Dragon. You can do this by hovering above him or running under him when he jumps. Try not to fly to the top of the screen because you might get hit by his icicles. You attack him when he's looking at the camera and does a jump that's very similar to Dedede's Super Dedede jump. This jump causes the icicles to fall to the ground. You inhale the first one that falls, then jump towards where the nearest one falls while spitting the icicle you swallowed at the Ice Dragon. Tricky to master. You need to avoid the splash damage of the icicles while doing damage, so that's why you must pull this off. Hold down the jump button to give you more time and the proper height. The strategy for this boss fight is to lure him towards one side of the screen so when he does his jump, you have plenty of room to evade the icicles. His other attacks involve him quickly pulling an ice cube and throwing it your way. You can jump over it with good timing or hover over it. He'll breathe ice breath, so hover over it and never get too close. The worst attack that you need to be prepared for is sometimes he'll jump while facing the left or right 2 times in a row, which can be difficult to avoid. Mr. Shine and Mr. Bright. I didn't think about it in my adventure video, but you might not know which character is which, so to clarify that, Mr. Shine is the moon and Mr. Bright is the sun. When the fight starts, one of the two will go into the sky. Which one does is random, but it's preferable for Mr. Bright to go into the sky. This is because there are 2 copy abilities you can get in this fight. You can get Fireball from Mr. Bright when you're fighting Mr. Shine, and you can get Cutter from Mr. Shine when fighting Mr. Bright. Cutter is a good option, but I would say it's safer to get Fireball because of the invincibility frames. If you pick Cutter, you're vulnerable to Mr. Shine's shooting stars, for example, while on the other hand, you can go through these stars safely with Fireball. If it starts and you're fighting Mr. Bright, just try to stay safe and evade the stars, even though the directions they come from are luck-based, and sometimes there's really nothing you can do to avoid them. When you're fighting Mr. Shine, try to create distance between him and Mr. Bright. You need to wait for Mr. Bright to blast his vertical sunbeams, then swallow a star from that to get Fireball. Make sure you're extremely close to your targets before performing the Fireball, because it has a limited range, so you're at risk of losing your invincibility frames inside your target. If you can do that, you can beat this boss fine. Kracko. This fight starts easy enough. He will pop in through the floor and you can fireball through him to do easy damage. Don't do it if he's at the end of the screen though, because you won't be able to go through him then, so you'll take a hit. Then eventually he'll spawn these attacks from the ground, which you can destroy easily, but then he'll go into the sky in his Kracko Jr. form. Be patient and wait for him to go into the middle of the screen, then fireball through him. Then there's the second phase where he's in his full form. You fight him the same way though, by patiently waiting for him to be in the middle. Sometimes Kracko will go to one side of the screen and fire his beam attack. In that case, just go to the bottom corner of the opposite side of the screen. King DDD. At first, the Sleeping King fights the same way he does in Kirby's Dreamland 1, although you can fight him with Fireball, which you see me try, but I don't consider it a great idea because if you're in front of him, he'll suck you up. So I'm just gonna copy and paste what I said before. When he does his super DDD jump, or slams his hammer down, you need to quickly suck up the star, but be careful not to get hit by the star. When he's holding his hammer, you can kind of bait him to attack in front of you, which will allow you to suck up the star you need. Make sure you're not too close when you're in front of him, because he can suck you up, as I mentioned, or trip on you. Eventually, DDD gets extremely aggressive. He's faster, and his attacks have an explosion effect you need to dodge. Wait a second for the explosion effect to go away, then suck up the star. Dark Matter Swordsman. Probably the hardest boss in the game, even with the health refill. Similar to Sweet Stuff, attacking him head-on with your rainbow sword does minimal damage, and I wouldn't recommend doing it here since it's extremely risky. Wait for him to fire his ball attack, then slash it in front of him so it is repelled into Dark Matter, doing the damage you need. Stay under or above Dark Matter, but don't go to the bottom or top of the screen since he can move there. Except if he shoots his lasers out of his sword, then you need to go to the bottom or top of the screen. When he shakes for a second, he's going to charge like Sweet Stuff, so keep an eye on him. Dark Matter Eye. You need to wait for him to fire his petals, but don't move until he gets in position to do the attack, because if you do it too early, he will flip what side he's on, complicating the matter. Then hurry to get behind him and slash him as much as you can. Attacking the petals behind him will reflect them into him. When he moves away, go to the bottom right to avoid him. Then he will start to shoot his eye beams. It's easier to dodge if you go to the farthest corner away from him. Then he will do 3 fireball charges. Wait till after the second one, then go up, but don't go to the top of the screen because he's going to go there. Then, this is crucial, he's going to fire his lasers, so go under him to avoid it, then above him. Then, finally, you can finish him off. Well, that's it. Hope this helped.